One of the great rabbinic leaders of this past century was Rabbi Yechiel Yaakov Weinberg Zatzal. He was a Talmid of the Mir, of Slobodkin, a disciple of the Chofetz Chaim, the recipient of a PhD from the University of Gießen, the Rosh Yeshiva of the Hildesheimer Seminary in Berlin, and the mentor of one of the great Jewish philosophers of the 20th century, a man who many of us knew, Dr. Eliezer Berkowitz Zal. Rav Weinberg possessed a soaring intellect, not only in Torah, but also in what we would refer to as Madá, literature and high culture. He was the author of Responsa the Srideish, and he also wrote an academic essay on Achad Ha'am and co-authored an article with a non-Jewish professor for the Hebrew Union College Annual. But the war left him a broken man. And this great figure spent his final years in Montreux, Switzerland, brought and supported by a former student, Rabbi Shaul Weingart. But despite those years of loneliness and separation from much of the Torah world, Rav Weinberg maintained correspondences with many of the great Talmidei Chachamim of the mid-20th century, publishing books of halakha, philosophy, and drush. And it is in one of those volumes, recently edited by Rabbi Weingart's son, of Avram Abba Weingart, Rosh Yeshiva in Kochav Yaakov, and a lecturer at the Sorbonne, that I came across a beautiful Drasha of Rav Weinberg. It's a comment built around a story in the Gemara, where Rav Avira describes a conversation between the Malachei Asharet, the celestial angels, and God. Said the angels to God, Ribono shel olam, it is written in the Torah that you do not show favoritism nor accept bribes. Asher lo yisa panim v'lo yikach shochad. And yet, in the Birkat Kohanim, your people are blessed, Yisa Hashem panav elecha, that you will favor them. How can that be? Said God, what else can I do? V'chilo esa panim liYisrael, how can I not favor the Jewish people? After all, said God, I commanded them v'achalta v'savata u'verachta, that they should eat. And when they are satisfied, they should recite a bracha, they should bench. But they ignore the need to be satisfied and bench ad kezayit v'ad kebetza. And they bench even only if they ate a small amount of food the size of an olive or an egg. Asked Rav Weinberg, why are the actions of these Jews so commendable? After all, if the obligation to bench begins only after this savata, after one is satisfied, but they decide to do so after eating much less, doesn't that mean the Jews are reciting a prayer in vain, a bracha levatala? Isn't that a sin? And not something to be rewarded? Which is a wonderful question. And on a halachic level, it's been addressed by the Rishonim. And yet, from a homiletical perspective, Rav Weinberg said that he learned the answer while serving in his first rabbinic position in a small Lithuanian town 30 miles southwest of Kovno named Pilvishok. At the time, Pilvishok was home to about 1,000 Jews, many of whom we would call Shabbos Jews, Jews who were so poor that they had to choose between eating during the week and having then just a simple meal on Shabbat, or being hungry all week, so that on Shabbos there would be a little bit of extra food, a little bit of a nicer meal, the Kovod Shabbos. And yet these Jews, said Rav Weinberg, when they would come to shul on Friday night and encounter a poor person in need of a meal, they would be the first ones to jump at the opportunity to invite them home, which meant that these Shabbos Jews who had scrimped and saved all week just to have a little bit more for Shabbos, when they came home with their guests, their meager meals had to be stretched to accommodate more people, but no more food. But make no mistake, exclaimed Rav Weinberg, even though they ate less, maybe only a kazayit of bread or a kibetza of fish, they were completely satisfied, and they were able to bench as the Torah commanded, because their love of chesed more than made up for their lack of food. And this, said Rav Weinberg, is what the Gemara is teaching. And this is what made God so proud. It was as if God was saying, my children, your act of kindness to others was so extraordinary, so pure and utterly l'shem shamayim, you deserve a greater reward. You deserve a special measure of my kindness, which is not the pshat. And yet neither is the story of God and the angels, but it is an explanation that suggests that not only are we charged to imitate God, but that God kiviyachol imitates us, which is the flip side, the opposite of what God presents just a few psukim later when he warns us, pen tochal v'savata, lest you will eat and be satisfied, uvatim tovim tivneh v'yashavta, and build good homes and be at rest. Comments the Klei Yakar, why does this pasuk combine verbs in both future and past tense? Tochal v'savata, tivneh v'yashavta. Wouldn't it have been more correct to write pen tochal v'tisba, tivneh v'teshev? And the answer he offered is that the unusual switch of verb tense at the end of each phrase is because the words pen tochal v'savata don't mean that you will eat and be satisfied. Rather, they mean that you will continue to eat even though you were already satisfied. Uvatim tovim tivneh v'yashavta, that you will build homes even when you were already settled in one that meets your needs, which is the antithesis of the kindness of a Shabbos Jew, of the person who is satisfied with less, able to sincerely bless God for what he has, even though from an objective standard may never have had enough. And the reason I share these two polar opposite approaches to life with you today is not because of something that has happened or because I'm in the mood to deliver a little bit of musar, as tempting as it might be. Instead, I'm sharing these two perspectives on life because our lives have changed in so many profound ways over the past months. We've lost our sense of safety when going about life, and we've lost opportunities to welcome people into our homes and celebrate as we wish. And yet, the true measure of our lives is whether we approach this new reality as one who can be satisfied and even thankful for what we have, or if what we have is never enough and leaves us wanting more? Will we be like the Jews of Pilvishuk, who bless God with a full heart even when they sacrifice so? Or will we be like the Jews who entered the land of Israel, found homes that they didn't build, crops they never planted, and only wanted more? I hope that when this trial is over, we will be able to return to a simpler life, a life that understands what is necessary and not merely what is desired. And I hope that when this is all over, our shuls will be filled once again, but as quiet as they are today. And our smachot will be more modest, but as joyous as ever. And that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will look down upon us and see what we have truly learned to be better. And that He, Kiviyachol, will be better with us as well. Shabbat Shalom.